Anxiety is a silent killer. It eats away at you from the inside out. It plays tricks on your mind, takes a toll on you mentally, emotionally, and physically. The Oxford Dictionary defines anxiety as a nervous disorder marked by excessive uneasiness and apprehension, typically with compulsive behavior or panic attacks. In simple English, this means that people who suffer from an anxiety disorder often feel scared, fearful, and sometimes panicked. Anxiety disorders are the most commonly diagnosed mental disorders in the world, and considering that 2.6 billion people are suffering from this currently, you'd think that we'd all be more familiar with it. I mean, that figure represents 33.7% of the population of the entire world. For those billions, the experience of clinical anxiety can range from persistent fretfulness, distractedness, and a sort of whole body clenching, all the way to the paralytic crisis of a full-blown panic attack. All of it feels quite lousy. All of it is a state that you race to escape from, which typically only makes it worse. This just goes to show how important it is to understand anxiety. So here are 11 things that your anxiety makes you feel. Number 1. It makes you feel ungrounded. Anxiety makes you feel dizzy. It can range from a slight shakiness all the way to feeling like you're drunk. Some people have even described it as feeling as if you're standing on a boat. Anxiety causes the body to produce a stress response, also known as the fight or flight response. When the body becomes overly stressed, which we call stress response hyperstimulation, the body can exhibit a wide range of odd and unusual sensations and symptoms. Feeling unsteady is one of them. Number 2. It makes you feel distressed. If you suddenly have to slam on your brakes and swerve to avoid a collision, that pounding heartbeat and rapid breathing you feel and have for a few minutes is a form of a panic attack. In the context of a disorder, however, you might start to feel the same thing the moment you walk into the office or a party. Number 3. It makes you feel fearful. We all avoid things we fear or dislike. Personally, I could go my whole life without seeing another clown, but they don't really affect my life day to day. Anxiety starts to strip away the things you do. You may dread getting a medical test because of what you could learn, but if you're avoiding going to your doctor at all because of it, then that's a problem. For example, people with a phobia of flying may limit their travel to only places that they can drive. Or people with big dreams may sometimes settle for smaller ones because their anxiety holds them back. Number 4. It feels all-consuming. Ultimately, an anxiety disorder may become so severe that the basic act of living becomes difficult. People suffering from OCD may need hours to get out of the house in the morning because the pillows on the bed aren't arranged properly. Schoolwork and job performance may suffer because of perfectionism makes it impossible to complete a project, or because social anxiety makes it impossible to talk to classmates or colleagues. Things become even worse when emotional symptoms lead to physical ones, such as headaches, loss of appetite, and sleeplessness. The most important question in this case is your anxiety impairing your daily functioning? Number 5. It makes you compartmentalize. Having high-functioning anxiety can be confusing to friends and loved ones. You may seem successful professionally, and it can even look like you have it all together. But in your personal life, things are usually much more complicated. You find it very easy to compartmentalize when it comes to your work. When you sit down at your computer, your feelings mostly shut off, and you're very present and ready to go. But when you're done for the day, you may be exhausted, anxious, and completely lack the drive that helped you function during the day. This can be confusing for those without anxiety, but that doesn't make it any less real. Number 6. It makes you seem unfriendly and unsocial. You may say yes to plans with every intention of going, but when the actual event comes up, you feel too overwhelmed to go through with it. This has way less to do with not wanting to build your relationships and way more with what's going on internally. Sometimes you feel like your anxiety will be so obvious to the people around you that if you show up to some event, it'll make everyone uncomfortable. That alone leads you to think that you should stay home. Whether or not people would in fact feel uncomfortable, the feeling is still there and still valid. The truth is that while it's easy for you to work or see a few very close friends who understand your anxiety, it's much more difficult to put yourself in an unfamiliar social situations. Number 7. It makes you feel anxious. Now I know what you're thinking. Isn't that the whole point of this video? But hear me out. Sometimes you may know why you're anxious, but other times you may not. When something specific triggers your anxiety, you often know exactly what's going on. On other days though, you could have a feeling of dread all day, like something is sitting on your chest, though nothing out of the ordinary had happened. There's no culprit to pinpoint other than your disorder. It's often harder when that feeling comes out of nowhere because it can feel like some sort of premonition, like something bad is just on the horizon, slightly out of view. Number 8. It makes you feel irrational. Anxiety isn't rational, and intellectually you understand this, but that doesn't mean anxiety isn't difficult. Sometimes, the people you confide in can downplay the way you feel, telling you that you're overreacting or that you should calm down. They may be trying to help, but this often just feels like they aren't taking your experiences seriously. Number 9. It makes you feel alone. Even though so many people suffer from anxiety, it often makes you feel like you're alone in your struggle. Whether you're about to meet a new person or you're walking into a social gathering, people with social anxiety envision horribly embarrassing scenarios. You worry that you'll say or do the wrong thing, and you picture other people being horrified by your behavior. Social anxiety causes you to think things like, other people will think I'm stupid, or I'll mess up and everyone is going to think I'm a loser. Your extreme fear of rejection causes you to steer clear of uncertain social situations whenever possible. Number 10. It makes you feel doubtful. You replay conversations in your mind and scrutinize every word. You exaggerate your flaws and judge yourself harshly. That's the problem with having anxiety. It takes your smallest doubts and fears and spirals them out of control until it completely breaks you down. The breakdown won't necessarily manifest itself physically. You will look completely fine, but your insides will rage. The fiery knots in your stomach will churn because you will become hyper aware of all your faults and tell yourself over and over and over again that you are not good enough. You tell yourself that you're a hard person to love, that you should be better, that you're inadequate. Anxiety has a way of creeping into everything. When it's left unchecked, it can make you doubt the things that don't deserve to be doubted, such as your relationships, which anxiety can quickly erode. Number 11. It can make you feel like your world is falling apart. Panic attacks can be absolutely terrifying. The first time I experienced one, I thought I was going to die. My heart rate elevated, I began to sweat, and I couldn't find the words to explain what was happening. Then, within a few minutes, the more severe symptoms were gone and I was just left there feeling drained and depleted. I was completely terrified by that incident. And because panic attacks can be so scary, you may be so terrified of experiencing another one that this fear alone can cause another panic attack to happen. Panic attacks differ from person to person. They range from having sweaty palms and a feeling of extreme uneasiness, all the way to feeling like your heart is beating so fast that your chest cannot contain it, that there are bees stinging every last part of your body and you can't escape from them, like your world is crumbling and you can't do anything but watch. It can cause a complete and utter shutdown. No one can live a life untouched by anxiety, but with the right skills and the right help, no one needs to live one that is destroyed by it either. I've partnered up with onlinetherapy.com. They are an online therapy group that is trying to help as many people as they can that suffer from things like depression, anger issues, anxiety, and many more. They do this by supporting you day in and day out with various tools, goals, and messages to help you beat your disorder. You can also message your therapist anytime you want if you need help with something or if you've just had a bad day. And best of all, if you lack the courage to show your face at a conventional therapist, you can choose to remain completely anonymous until you build up that confidence. I've put the link down in the description if you guys are interested. Please note that this does in no way replace going to a qualified therapist. But I know that sometimes when the days get really bad, it's nice to have someone supportive just a message away. Thank you for watching the video. If you found this helpful, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And if you feel like I've missed anything on my list, let me know down in the comments. And as always, keep seeking more.